Hello, and welcome back, or welcome to, a Mental Break podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Simpson, and on today's episode, we have the illustrious, the magnificent, the beautiful, the bold, the brave, the confidant. This is what happens every time I try to do this.
Confidant.
The confidant. Why did I say it like that? I'm not French.
It should be French. I think
sounds
that's how
cool.
everyone should say it.
It sounds
Yeah.
cool. We
Confidant.
have my lovely friend Rachel Hickey on the show, everybody.
Hello! Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Rach. Appreciate it. Is Rach okay, by the way? I've just been calling you Rach.
Yeah, Rach is cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, my friends call me Rach. My dad calls me Rach, and my one history teacher called me Rach until I told him to stop.
Got it. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
Rach is cool, unless you're my history teacher.
Then that's a no fly zone.
There you go.
Well,
There
it's
you
a good
go.
thing I don't teach history, so we're
Yeah,
good.
thank God. Good, you're in the clear.
So yeah, we got Rachel on the show today. Thank you so much for being here, Rach. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So I'll say how I know you, and then maybe you can elaborate further about yourself to our viewers and listeners. Just to give them an idea of who the fuck you are and why you're on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I know Rachel because she's a wonderful artist, first of all. She makes beautiful music, and she has a tremendous voice, way better than I could ever hope to sound. And I feel like I knew you before we played those shows somehow. Like, I don't think we were close, but I think we knew of each other.
You know, that kind of musician kind of circle we were like kind of floating around. And I actually did meet you, but forgot that I met you because I came over to rehearse with Lena. And
Huh?
I vaguely met you and your dog. And then
Whoa.
for like 1 second. Yeah.
Wait a minute. This is the same backstory that Shannon and I have from House Cat.
Stop! Oh my gosh.
Like, literally
What's going on, Taylor?
verbatim, dude.
You're just like not memorable when you meet them. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I feel so bad now. It's the second time this has happened.
There's just lots of people coming through to rehearse, you know? It could have been
Damn,
anybody.
dude. Apparently my house is a revolving door for people, and I didn't even realize.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Shit, that is fucking...
Yeah.
So I just had Shannon on the pod last season,
Nice.
and we went over, like, how, like, we had actually met before I remember meeting her. And it's because she was also here rehearsing with Lena.
That's so
And she was
funny.
like, when I met her at the show, or like when we played a show together last year, she was like, "Oh, we met before." And I was like, "What do you mean we met before?" She was like, "Yeah, like I know your dog." And I was like, "How do you know my dog?" What? And she was like, "Yeah, remember when I came over to your house and I practiced with Lena?" I was like, "Oh, right, got
There you
it."
go.
So this happened with us too?
Yep. And then we played a show together and we finally put together the pieces. Context is, a funny thing.
Context is key.
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go, everybody. You just learned. I learned and you learned at the same time. So yeah, so we did meet before then. That makes sense why I thought that I knew you before, because I did. But even outside of that incident, like obviously, like you said, you're running on these circles of being a musician in Toronto. It's a very big city, but a very small music scene. And I feel like once you know somebody, you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, yada, yada, yada.
The degrees are separate. Not very.
Exactly. And so I was booking some shows last year for my band Wishwell. And we were doing, what was it, Kitchener and Peterborough, I think we did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the lovely Rachel was, sweet enough to jump on both.
Yeah, last minute, I was like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's hike all the way to Peterborough and play for the bands.
Hell yeah, dude.
So awesome. And
No.
get catcalled by this huge truck of teenagers.
Wow.
Super cool too. Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, Peterborough. We love Peterborough.
I'm from Peterborough, so I can say that. It's, there's a reason why I'm not there anymore.
Hey,
but I'm not talking shit about if anybody from Peterborough's watching this. Peterborough's great. I love Peterborough.
You gotta love where you came from, and keep going.
Whatever. Yeah, no. Fuck. How do I dig myself out of this hole I made? Um, yeah, no. So Rachel came and played those shows with us. We hit it off, and we've been pals ever since. Um, I look back fondly on the nice pizza family dinner we had in Peterborough.
Yeah, that was great.
That was really awesome and fun. And then playing the Yeti in Kitchener was super fun too. Very intimate show.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, that was also the show that I hopped up and played that
It'll be
song with you.
good.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
good.
we learned, or you learned it on the Peterborough show.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I had played that song actually, anywhere at all. So
Wow.
yeah, I had written it like a few weeks before.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think I remember you saying that. And
yeah,
I think I remember telling you after the Peterborough show, I was like, I love that song.
yeah. I was like, should this go on the record? Let me know. And then everyone was like, yes, put it on the record.
Absolutely,
So I did.
yes.
Yeah, there we go.
I think to go on a side tangent here for just a quick second.
Hmm.
I've listened to your whole album like 4 times now, I think.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. It's a really good fucking album.
Thank
And
you.
I mean, you have a lot of good songs on there. Like, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure it's hard for you to probably pick favorites too. Like, they're all kind of
Yeah,
your babies,
my
obviously.
babies.
But I feel like it'll be good. Just has that like sprinkle of something.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely high energy, catchy. It's
Yeah,
definitely fun. It's
it's
definitely
just got a
fun.
good vibe to it, and like I always end up going back to it.
Hmm.
Maybe it's because I have a
Thanks.
connection slightly with it because we did the duet
Yeah,
together.
I mean
Maybe
that's
it's
super
that.
valid.
Yeah, but it was just so fun, and like thank you for being gracious enough to like let me come do that because that was like
Dude, why not? Yeah, that's what it's all about. Just like having fun with your pals and.
yeah. And I really wanted to do it at your release show too, because I thought that'd be so fun to do. It'll be good
Oh
together, but
yeah.
fuck,
You know.
there'll be more shows.
Oh yeah, of course
Hold
there'll
us
be more shows.
accountable, viewers and listeners. We got to do another show together.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh
We'll
yeah.
do. It'll be good. It'll be fun. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
Cool.
So Rachel and I are pals. She's the best. But for those listening and watching that want to know just a little bit more about you, why don't you just give like a quick introduction to who Rachel Hickey is?
Yeah. So my name is Rachel Hickey. It's my born and raised name. Uh,
Not a stage name.
details. Yep, not a stage name. Unfortunately, Hickey is my official last name and my official cause for bullying as a child. And
Oh,
yeah, so I've been making music since I could, I guess. A little kid, grew up in church choir, leader of the praise band vibes, musicals in high school, went to university, joined the a cappella club, sold my soul, and became a huge nerd. I was always a nerd for 5 years. Shout out to the unaccompanied minors and In Full Color, my a cappella groups
shout out to them.
there. And yeah, that kind of I'd always kind of written music too since I was a teenager. Pretty much started on piano, just writing piano songs. I was terrible at piano lessons. I just would not practice and I would just write songs instead. come to, I'd come to like my lesson. I'd be like, Mrs. Martin, I wrote a song about elephants. It's called Whoopsie Doodles. She's
I
like,
love
what?
that.
She's like,
Lovely.
what did you practice? And I'm like,
No.
and I've recently discovered, sorry, tangent, that
Yep.
I'm the exact same still to this day because I'm trying to learn like guitar theory better. So I'm doing I'm practicing my notes and my scales and stuff. And then halfway through, I start fucking around. Sorry, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Let it fly.
I'm like halfway through, I'm practicing. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And then I start writing a song. I'm like, oh my God, I will never change. But so
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I've been writing songs for a long time, but I started releasing music in 2021. Started teaching myself guitar during the pandemic, and then just there was a lot to go through, a lot to work through emotionally. So
Yeah.
I just wrote a lot of songs. I used to do that as a kid too, through like the piano and all that stuff. So it was just a natural progression. And then I'm like, I have all these songs, let's record them. And now I'm on the train and I'm not stopping. Uh,
Let's go.
so I'm an all or nothing type of gal. But for those who have never heard my music, it is in the indie folk kind of pop space.
Yeah.
And my kind of message, I guess, from the very beginning has always been kind of strength through vulnerability and just being able to share my experiences very candidly through song, and hopefully someone will listen to them and feel heard and seen. So that's the whole shtick. But
Nice.
yeah, yeah,
I
and
like that. It's all encompassing in the Rachel ethos.
yes,
The ethos
yes,
of Rachel.
oh yes,
You should get your own like candle company, or
oh,
do a brand deal with a candle company, and then it'd be like
mm.
ethos of Rachel. Could be the name of the scent.
Or like a perfume.
Or ooh, yeah, actually
Ethos.
ethos of
I'm
Rachel.
just like running through a desert or
Or like
something. Yeah.
ethos by Rachel.
Oh,
Ethos by Rachel.
wow, we're really making business moves on this
We're
podcast
we're
today. Yeah,
cooking. We're cooking today.
yeah.
I'm
So
cooking
yeah, that's
physically and
me.
I'm cooking
Yeah,
mentally.
it is hot. I also have the sun in my eyes again, so you're gonna get a tour of this backyard. I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep moving
find some
around,
shade. Find some shade.
avoiding the sunshine. Oh, that's so much worse. Okay,
Uh oh.
let's try this. Ah,
Is
that's a
that
bit
better?
better. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Now we got some
Next
nice we got
question.
some nice foliage in the background now. It's
Yeah. No,
nice.
that's nice. That's good. It's good. It's good.
This might be my first. No, is it? I'm trying to think if there was somebody else outdoors that I've done on the pod. I don't remember. This could be the first outdoor-ish pod shoot. It'd be cool if I was there with you outside.
Yeah.
We
Why
could shoot
don't
it
you
together.
drive 2 hours down to
Yeah, you know what?
Fort?
Like next pod episode, I'll drive down to Fort Erie and make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit about Rachel. So you guys can understand who's on the show today. Please go check out her music. She's awesome. She writes great tunes. And we love the vulnerable side here. That's what this whole pod's about, is being vulnerable and creating a safe space. So I'm so glad to hear that that's your message through your music as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's super important, you know. I think an important thing for me, and I'm sure you can relate to this, Rach, is like breaking down the barriers and the walls put up by this like weird societal, not pressure, but just like societal norms, I suppose.
Hmm.
Like the stigma surrounding the mental health conversation, and like don't be too vulnerable, don't let people in, like all that kind of
Mm.
stuff, right? It's like no, that's how we grow as a community, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And the societal pressure, and also just like maybe like fear of, your own experiences. What happens when you get vulnerable? Like, has that been a good experience or not?
For
And
sure, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely probably situations where people probably have felt like they could be vulnerable around people, then maybe it backfired on them.
Hmm.
And obviously that's very triggering, and I don't want to demean anybody that's gone through that, obviously, by any means. But I can't overstate how important it is to not use that as something to hold against you from keeping to move forward and
Hmm.
from staying positive about being vulnerable. Like, yes, there are obviously it's definitely contextual, I'm sure. I don't know, man. Like, I'm gonna ask you this, Rachel, now that
Yeah.
we're on this subject matter, and
Yeah.
see if you agree with me or not. But like, in an ideal world that I want to live in, is I want to go to a coffee shop and I'm gonna order something, and the guy is gonna be like, "How are you doing today?" And in a perfect world, I want to be like, "You know what, man? I'm not doing too good today. I'm having a bad mental health day, you know," and just be honest
Hmm.
and not just answer, "Oh, I'm fine," like every other fucking person says they're fine.
Yeah.
And I want him to respond in a way where it's like not understanding, because no one's going to understand the situation other than you will,
Hmm.
but not reject it or not feel awkward about it or feel weird about it. He'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Like, I hope you feel better."
Yeah.
Like in an ideal world, that's what I want to see happen.
Yeah. Just like have people be okay with the, you know, maybe you're not fine type thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely um an interesting kind of like idea, because like I would love to be able to just like open up and stuff, but I also don't want to burden. I mean, this is maybe my own thing, but I don't want to
for
like
sure.
burden this random person that I don't know, who's,
Sure,
just doing
sure,
their
yeah.
job. And then
Totally.
they're like hitting like ugh, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. Of course,
like
of
I
course.
definitely like can see like, especially just like with your friends, if it's just constantly brushed off, then you're never gonna want to really open up with that person or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, there is like this like default I'm fine kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be nice, you know, switch it up every so often. Without
Yeah.
like and without the expectation, I guess, too, when if you like say like that to like the coffee shop person, there's no expectation for them to be like, how can I help you? Basically, like, you know, that's not their job.
Totally. Yeah.
But just like to be able to be like, you know what, I'm not doing too great, but that's okay. I'm figuring it out. I'll have my
Mm-hmm.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the more point I should focus on, I suppose, in that hypothetical scenario is like the honesty, I suppose, is the most important
Hmm.
part. Not expecting someone to solve my problems.
Yeah.
That's never the intention for that. But just like
Yes, very true.
because that's not fair to them or not fair to yourself either. Um, but more so just being able to break down that stigma surrounding being able to answer honestly and feeling that societal pressure of being like, no, we're just gonna say it's fine and move on.
Living the dream.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm great.
Like coffee, no, not coffee, water cooler chat.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, how's the wife? How's the weather?
The sun's shining. It's a good day
Yeah,
today.
it's great. My flowers are blooming.
Yeah,
Everything's it's
yeah.
like some days can be like that for sure, which is great, but some days can't be. And it's just like I think, ideally I like to see a world progress in that direction. Like obviously it's never getting to the point where it's like a fantasy world that I just described, but I think that's going to take a long kind of utopia to get to the point of that. But even just, being honest with yourself and being honest with people that you find closest to you, I think is the most important to have that safety net around you. But
Hmm.
anyways, that's a whole other tangent for another episode.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to think of what else I can talk about first before getting into the mental health stuff. Um, this is an interesting question because I don't think we've talked about this in length before. How do you find as being an artist? Because like weirdly enough, not weirdly enough, this is pretty obvious, but like I have a lot of artists on the show.
Mhm.
Wow, imagine that. A musician has more musicians on the show. I am trying to get other people that are not musicians on the show, but like a lot of my friends or people that want to come on the show or just happen to be artists. um, and I think we have a special connection that way too, like being an artist attached with the mental health because a lot of people that I know write about stuff they've gone through, and that's kind of like a cathartic release for them, right? So I guess my question to you, Rach, is like, how do you find the writing process in that way? Like, is it a release for you? Like, because I know you said it's like kind of being vulnerable and allowing a space to create that safeness or that comfortability within yourself to open up about these
Mhm.
things. Like, how do you find working through that process?
Yeah, I think when I turn to songwriting, it's almost always when I'm like dealing with something. Either I have like experienced something or a joke that I'll say on stage is like, "My name is Rachel Hickey. I go to therapy and I write songs about it afterwards." My therapist should be getting royalties, honestly, but
Uh,
like it's like when I go through something or I have like a realization and I don't want to forget it, and then I'm like, how do I either work through this or um memorialize, I guess, is that the word? It.
sure.
Then it goes, then the most natural way for me to do that is to put it into a song or just, do that. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, I think a lot of, like on the album, I think every single song is connected to a very specific memory or like quote unquote breakthrough moment as I've been like going through my 20s and growing up and discovering who I am. And
Right.
just like these little like learning moments or, you know, it's like from start to finish, if you listen to it top to bottom, it's kind of like this progression of like, some things maybe I'm noticing some things and maybe I should talk to someone about it and
Yeah.
I'm avoiding it. And then, oh crap, this is what happens when you avoid it. And then here's kind of figuring things out after that. So yeah, I think that answers most of your question.
Yeah, I mean,
But
like,
yeah,
like obviously you can approach this question in very different ways, but that
yeah,
sounds great to me.
yeah,
Um, do you find it like, is it like a cathartic sort of release for you in a way?
yeah, definitely. I find like I can be the type to hold things inside and not, either be like, it'll just go away on its own, the feeling or something like that.
Right.
But it's definitely, yeah, it's just when you are able to say something out loud or like
Mm-hmm.
get it out in the open, name it to whatever. What's that thing? Man, I should know this. Name it, you name it. You name it. That's what I'm gonna say. People who go to therapy will get it, and maybe someone will help me figure out what this is. But if yeah,
You name it to
what is
claim
the
it?
name it to claim it? Is that? I'm like it rhymes. It's got to rhyme. Anyway, yeah,
I don't know.
something like yeah. We made it up. There you go.
You name it to claim it. I don't, sure.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
So yeah, it's definitely cathartic. It's very
Yeah.
cathartic. And then singing it too,
Mm-hmm.
like being on stage, that's also cathartic too. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
this song I'm about to sing, like, hi
Yeah.
dad, like here's this song. But
Right.
it's it's kind of empowering to be like, this is still my story and I'm still
Mm-hmm.
gonna tell it. And
Yeah, good for you.
when people, approach you and talk to you about it and say how it made them feel, then it's like, okay, this is why we do this. And that feels really good too.
I'm curious to add to this topic we're talking about. I know, like, when I was younger, I had a hard time expressing the way that I felt a lot of the times, like,
Mhm.
or being able to express myself the way that I wanted to,
Yeah.
you know? And so I would kind of channel that energy into my songwriting.
Hmm.
And, like, that would be how I would express my feelings through song and through lyrics and being able to, like, sing it out loud.
Yeah. Oh my
Um,
gosh. There was like a couple of occasions where I'd like my family was like fighting or something, and I'd like go to the piano and I'd start playing a song or singing a song that's like a message to them. There's this
yeah.
there's this one song, I think it's Hudson Taylor. It's like let the weather. And it's like I don't know. It was just like so funny. It's just thinking back on it, it was so like kind of silly now thinking about it, but like I really that was like how I could communicate. Yeah. And now I think like songwriting is like the best form of subtweeting sometimes. You ever walk
Subtweeting.
away from it? Walk away from like an argument and you're like, oh, I should have said that. And you're like, you know what? I'm a songwriter. I'm gonna put
I gotta
this
put that in
song.
there now.
I don't do that often, but
That's so funny.
you
And then, like, what is it, like, quote tweeting, when you, like, take somebody else's message and then tweet on or something like that?
I don't know. I'm saying subtweeting, but I was never in that world as like a high school student. I
The
never
Twitter
really delved
sphere.
into Twitter, into
Yeah,
the Twitter sphere.
that's a whole other thing. That's
Yeah, it's not what the pod's about, but yeah, yeah. So definitely cathartic. Obviously, I think every
yeah,
songwriter can say that. But
totally. And obviously very expressive in a way too. I listen to
Mhm.
your songs, especially the new album, and I hear a lot of, like, you're so good at, sorry, this is just gonna be a podcast of me gushing over your talent. Because I do find you extremely talented, and, like, I'm glad to call you my friend.
no,
Um, and I would love to write a song with you, by the way.
right, let's do
I
it.
should have told you this before being recorded on a podcast, but now I can hold myself accountable.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, let's do it.
If you want to, obviously.
Yeah, I want to do more co-writing and stuff after, done the album thing, and now
Yeah,
I want to do a lot more collaborating. So definitely.
I would
But
love to if you'd have me.
of course.
Um, but yeah, when I listen to your songs, you really are good at painting a picture.
Mm.
And, like, what's that song where, oh boy, sorry, I'm not good with names of songs. I'm good at listening, but not remembering the name of songs.
Oh, that's fair. That's really fair.
There's a song that you sing about where it's like, maybe it is it'll be good. Um, where you're talking about the front of, like, a house.
Yeah, it'll be good.
It'll
Uh,
be good, right? Okay.
yeah,
Like, my favorite
the
song.
red
Why the
bricks
hell?
and the geraniums.
Yeah, exactly. And, like,
Yeah.
I can almost, like, see myself in front of that house, like the way that you
Mhm.
painted it. And so
Yeah.
it's like walking through a memory, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like you're
Yeah.
taking people by the hand and walking them through a specific memory that you're expressing,
Yeah.
which I find so interesting, and something that I've tried to work on as a songwriter as well, is, like, I tend to write not vague, but I tend to write about like such a big subject matter that it's hard to
Hmm.
kind of micro it down to a, you know, like I'm very focused on mental health. Obviously, as you can tell, I have the
Hmm.
podcast about it. So like a lot of our material is written about certain situations and dealing with like depression, anxiety, and all that kind
Hmm.
of stuff. So I find it's harder when you're writing about the material to get so specific because you might
Hmm.
lose the audience that way, or that's the way that
Yeah,
I
that's
see
an
it.
interesting. I totally get that. And like, it's like when I put in those like words about like literally describing this is what my childhood home looks like the red bricks and geraniums, like
Yeah.
you think this is way too specific, it's not gonna hit, but overall, the song is like kind of that universal like nostalgia feeling that even if you do say, even if someone listening to it didn't have red bricks on their house, they can kind of picture that vibe,
Yes.
and then they put themselves into their own story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly I realized this recently, because I did this like songwriters round, and there was another songwriter who sang a song about her home, and she's literally describing like walking through it, and it's like in her head it was so specific.
Mm-hmm.
um Emily Schultz, if you want to check out that song. But it's like one of the songs that people connect with the most because they think of their, like, even if you're super specific, I think people will always, put themselves in that story. So,
Totally.
and it kind of makes it more endearing to be like, oh, that's they're like, they just added that little detail in there. I don't know.
Absolutely. I want to stop guilting myself into not doing it.
Hmm. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I
You can
mean?
you can go super broad to try to like reach the most people, but like
Mm-hmm.
if you throw in those little like tidbits, it just makes it feel more special.
It's like for me, well, I feel like this is going to turn into a songwriting podcast at this point. We're good. I promise everybody we're going to get to the mental health stuff. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But Rachel and I are just nerds, and we're talking about songwriting.
Yeah.
Um, I find for me like it's especially with like writing newer stuff for Wishwell, it's like I'm trying to find a delicate balance between covering the subject matter that I want to cover and also adding specific moments that I've had to deal with in that subject matter, but keep it balanced enough so that people can like really let themselves in, but also
Hmm.
have it tailored to something that I've dealt with personally, so that I get a cathartic. I don't know. I feel like I overthink this a lot too much, but I feel like that's kind of the balance, on the knife's edge that I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah. I think if it comes from the heart and like, I don't know, you do music for many different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it's that it's just you expressing yourself. Um, Whoever is listening to it, like once it's out, it doesn't belong to you anymore, I guess. That's what people say, like it's yours now. But
Right.
people will always apply it to their own life. And there's people
Mm-hmm.
who like want to know your story and like connect with you more, and that kind of like helps them feel seen and stuff. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's that like if you ever study English and you're like a poetry nerd like me, like there's that argument like, do I want to know all about the poet's life? Is that context and that criticism, is that relevant? Or should we just look at the poem and take the poem as it is? But
Right.
I don't know. I'm for the I want to know all the details, and like
Yeah.
it's because I grew up on Taylor Swift and like I just need to know all the drama. But I think even if, yeah, I think, yeah, this is a very convoluted tangent now, but yeah, people will always put themselves into that. Um, so just do you. If it's
I think
authentic
you're
and it
right.
comes from the heart, then it'll hit. So,
I think the most important part that I'm overlooking most of the time is authenticity
mm,
and just being not. I'm not saying that I'm not authentic. I'm saying that I'm trying to be as authentic like as I can be. But then
hmm
my brain is like, well, if you're too authentic, then people might not let themselves in, and that's
mm.
always my worry. So I don't know. Again, it's just me overthinking things again, and I should probably just write what I want to write.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a fun exercise. Like if you were writing a song, just like no limits, or like no, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
anything that you start to think like this is too authentic, just like keep going. And then you can
Yeah,
always pare it down, but
yeah. Here's
see what
here's
people
my
think.
funny thing, Rach, and
Hmm.
I'm sure you've heard us play live a couple of times. Like you've seen the kind of energy that my band brings live, right?
Hmm.
So it's like this weird dichotomy of like when you listen. Hopefully, when in my hopes, but again, it's perspective and subjective to everybody who listens. But when I go to sit down and write a song for Wishwell, and like when my band gets together and we write a song, it's like, how can we get people to dance, but also make people cry?
Mm-hmm.
And it's that's like the delicate balance of Wishwell is like
Yeah.
we don't want to bum anyone out, but we also
Yeah.
want to stay real to the message that we're trying to get across, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of like masking the true sadness of the lyrics in an upbeat tempo,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can relate to that at all, but like
Oh,
that's
yeah. No, and I struggle too with like if I write a silly song, will people take my serious song seriously and vice
mm,
versa?
yeah.
Like, but I'm really trying to like drill in this idea, which I'm like learning and practicing every day, that two things can be true at the same time and that nothing is like really black and white. Like I grew up in such black and white, like,
Mm,
like religion and all this stuff. And I've been really trying to unlearn a lot of that black and white stuff, but I totally get it. Like,
yeah.
are people gonna get it? Like,
Yeah.
if it's like what if they miss the message? And then I realize that I have to be less precious about the message,
Mhm. Yeah.
like people who really want to listen and who really choose to connect, they'll get it. They'll get the message. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I think it's a control thing a little bit as an artist. You're
Yeah.
like,
I think
oh,
so
like, and
too.
this is sometimes why I speak way too much before a song, and I'm like, just let people experience it
Mhm.
how they want to experience
And
it. Like, right? So
interpret it
I'm
the way they
learning
want to
that too.
interpret it, because like at the end of the
Yeah,
day, you could explain it all you want, but people are still gonna listen to it and
yeah,
hear whatever they want to hear out of it, right? So
exactly. Right. So just be
yeah.
a little less precious about it, I think.
Like I don't think I've ever told this story on the pod before, but I'll tell you, Rach, before we get into the mental health stuff. I mean, this is about my mental health, so it's I guess relevant. Um, I have a song called "Pretending," which I think you heard us play live when we did
Mhm.
our shows together. It's an old song. I wrote it probably now like over 8 years ago, but it's had updates since the original version. But when I wrote that song, I had never written a song about the situation with my parents because my parents passed away when I was really young,
Mm.
and so like I had written songs in the past about it, but nothing that I was ever proud to show. And so this song "Pretending" was like one of the first songs I was like really happy with, and it was a bit of a juggling act with that song because the song is called "Pretending" because I was pretending for a long time that I was fine, after
Mm.
they'd passed away and I really wasn't fine. I was just like,
Yeah, like to deal with that, like that is so hard.
yeah. And so like, me being young and not knowing what any of this was, like depression, anxiety, OCD, like I was all diagnosed with that when I was like 13, 14 years old and
Mm.
like not understanding any of what was happening to me. And so I just spent a lot of years like just putting on a face and pretending to be fine and like pretending that I was all right, even though I really wasn't. And just kind of masking the pain and bearing it.
Yeah.
And so when I went to write the song, I wanted it to feel like that.
Right.
So that's kind of how this whole like sad bop, if you will, dichotomy of Wishful
Yeah.
kind of started was that like if someone listens to the song hard enough and really listen to the words, they'd be like, "Holy shit, this is a sad ass fucking song." But I mask it in such a happy, up tempo, fun, like "Pretending," for example, has like this cool like guitar lead in it that's like really bouncy and dancey. It's like do 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 do, you
Mhm.
know, and then like the song itself is like kind of like a fun, chill indie folk song, but I'm singing about my dead parents.
Yeah, it's like pumped up kicks or there's a lot of songs
Yeah,
out there that feel like so happy and then they're not. But
totally. Yeah, and like I was
that's
trying my
that's
best
an
to.
artistic choice, right?
Yeah, thank you. And I was trying my best
Hmm.
to make it feel how I felt when I was younger, like pretending
Hmm.
to be okay. That's like the upbeat, tempo-y music part of the song.
Yeah.
But then underneath it all, if you listen to the lyrics, that's how I was really feeling. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it
No,
was
no,
too meta. I don't
no, no,
know.
I think that's a just a cool artistic choice. I need to find a laptop charger. I
Oh,
thought my battery was gonna make it. I swear I had full battery and then all of a sudden I'm at 6%. So We might have to. You have to. I'm sorry. I'm gonna make you have to edit this friggin' podcast.
Yeah, no
But all
worries.
right, we're gonna go on a little journey, or maybe you could keep this in. It'll be for entertainment value. But
I mean, if you're okay with me
yeah,
keeping it in, I'll keep it in. But
we can keep chatting. I'll just keep. We have like 5% left. We're just gonna find a outlet. I don't think there's one outside. Hi Armando. Is there I'm still on the call. Is there a charger outside? Is there an outlet? Yeah. Do you know?
what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
I have the charger.
Okay, charger acquired.
Charger required. Next is outlet.
Finding an outlet.
Oh, sweet. Well, you might need an extension cord. All right. Armando's getting an extension cord. Shout out Armando.
Shout out Armando.
Absolute icon.
He's the goat.
All right. The goat. Oh, God. This lighting is so awesome.
You have like a laser beam across your face. Hell yeah,
that's
dude.
good. That's really good. That's really good. All right. Don't forget what we were talking about. Okay. This is
I got it.
all right.
I'm
This is just gonna just cut out like completely and
I'm gonna leave all of this in.
okay, great. Perfect.
All of this.
This it's real life, guys. We're getting authentic over here.
Oh, as authentic as can be.
My planning skills, absolutely incredible.
10 out of 10.
This time, also 10 out of 10.
The sun is right in your face.
Yeah. Okay. All right, where are we at?
As
It's
long-
been going down. Like, okay, we're at 4% now.
Okay.
All right, now let's go with this extension cord.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. But
So hopefully the extension cord comes in time before it dies.
yeah, I'll keep updating you as the
Yeah.
percentages go down.
The audience and the listeners are gonna be like, "What is happening right now, dude?"
We're gonna just skip forward through this
They're
part.
gonna be like, "Okay, yeah, whatever."
Yeah, now it's time for our sponsor, extension cords.
Hey, extension cord companies, if you're listening, come on, man.
We are your target audience.
You support mental health, right?
Yeah.
The mental health of charging our laptops. I don't know.
From the outdoors. So
From the
you can get,
outdoors.
you can work while you are in nature, and that is,
Yes.
that is good.
And get some vitamin D.
And get some vitamin D.
There you go.
Indeed.
It's all gonna work out. It's all fine.
Maybe I'll just turn around. You'll just have the view of my barbecue. Is that okay?
I mean, whatever
we got
works,
an
honestly.
extension cord!
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. Extension cord is here.
I'm
just
gonna
lean
label
in.
this segment extension cord.
Yep.
That'll be great. It'll
It'll
be
be
great.
good.
It'll be so
Good,
good.
good.
It'll be good.
It'll be good.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. We're
plugged in?
almost there. We are. Dun, 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 dun. Plugged in.
We're plugged in.
Hey yo.
Hey, I even heard the sound.
Yes, that's it. We're here.
Let's go. All right, we're plugged
All
in.
right. Okay.
Guys, round of
So where
applause
were
if you're
we?
watching.
Yeah.
We're-
shout out
we're good to go.
Armando, and
I'm
we're
leaving
good to
all
go.
of this in.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks for coming along.
Yeah,
And
thanks for
dealing
coming
with
to our TED Talk.
Anywho.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to the meat and potatoes.
Yes, meat and potatoes.
So, mental health stuff. I guess where we'll start, maybe just discuss like it's always hard to ask this question because I don't know how to phrase it properly, and I always like dance around it because it's hard. It's not hard to get into it, but it's just like I don't want to assume anything, and I don't want to like overstep any boundaries or whatever. But
Just say it. Let's go.
yeah, rip it off like we batted.
Dive it. Dive it. I'll let you know if I
Yeah,
mention
please do, please do.
Mhm.
So I guess what I want to ask is like, do you deal with anything with your mental health? Like, it doesn't matter if you've been diagnosed or not. That's, whatever, another here or there. But do you, to your best abilities, do you experience any sort of mental health illness?
Yeah. I think from a young age, I'm like anxiety is like the top one, I guess. And I think I didn't really know that until maybe I would say high school, I guess. High
Okay.
school is when like things started you know, my mom was like, maybe you should talk to a therapist. My mom was great. She like was the one who kind of like eased me into it, I guess. And then I also like I think there's a lot of comorbidity with, anxiety and depression and stuff. But growing up, like I was extremely in denial or just like very stubborn. I'm like, I'm never going to be depressed. That's
Right.
just
You're just
what a
like
concept, right?
trying
I'm
to
gonna
convince yourself, gonna will myself
like
not to.
I like growing up, like my dad had a lot of mental, or still does, health issues and chronic pain and all this stuff that he's dealing with. So
Hmm.
I knew about mental health like disorders from a pretty young age too. So I knew about depression. That was the one I knew about. I'm like, okay,
Right.
I'm never going to do that. That's not going to be me. I am happy. I am positive.
Right.
I am never going to be depressed.
Mm.
And then that came to a point where I was being pretty toxically optimistic, I'd say. It was
Uh-oh.
to a fault. I'd be like just like so in denial that I would just push everything away
Mm.
that would like align with me being depressed. So I'm like, that's not
Got
me
it.
though. I'm never going to be depressed. So obviously that's not my problem.
Right. It's
And
almost
then I
like you
just,
were
yeah,
overcompensating for like
yeah,
the other
yeah.
direction.
Yeah, and I just like I truly didn't get it. I'm like, I am happy. Like, oh man, it was such like and I'm still like I'm a very positive
Yeah.
person, and that comes from the heart. That's true.
Hmm.
Um,
It's all a
and
lie.
it's
It's all it's all
no,
farce.
but I really had to like learn and like get to that point where I was allowing the icky feelings in and letting them exist at the same time as this like these truths that I've been telling myself my whole life. I'm like, I am positive, I'm optimistic, I'm not depressed. Like I'm never gonna be like my dad. Like, like that like heavy, like teenager vibes. So like
Yeah.
yeah, that was a huge learning curve for me. But I'd say like if you were to like put it in a little box with a bow,
Hmm.
there's like anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
ADHD,
Yeah.
slay. Sorry, that's not what you should say. But yeah, from a young, like I read through all of my report cards and like did the whole thing, and I was like, Mom, why didn't you, why didn't you notice?
Why did you tell
Yeah.
me?
No, honestly, okay, here's my hot take. Not a hot take at all. This is just oversharing.
Go
But
for it.
OCD mom, ADHD daughter, mom covers for ADHD all the time. Never realized it until I was an adult on my own, dealing without the support of my mom, noticing everything for me. Hyper
Got
aware
it.
mom.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
then as I became an adult, I was having a lot more problems dealing with managing it. And I was like, oh, and then I'd go home and I'd be fine. And my mom would be like, oh, Rachel, you forgot this. They're like, what are you looking for? Like helping me get on track and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just like so like overshare, but that's okay. We're here for overshare.
Hey,
But
that's what this pod's about.
yeah. So I'd say, that's me in a nutshell. Probably loads of things, but yeah,
Interesting. I want to touch on the
yeah,
ADHD a little bit, and then we'll get into
yeah.
like the big scary monster anxiety and depression because that's
Oh
definitely
yeah.
the biggest two that everyone. I mean, like it's a common thread. I mean, like I think I've done close to 40 episodes of this show now, and it's like every person I've had on says something similar to the degree of anxiety and depression. Like
Hmm.
they're like the two-winged monster, man. Like they're just like the two-headed demon, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. You ever watch Big Mouth, like the depression cat that just lays on?
Yeah. Yeah, just like
I'm like, I've
hello.
never seen such a good like
A representation of that.
representation. Like, wow, damn. Anyway,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
So
touch
I
on that.
learned it's honestly I'm so grateful to be doing this show for the last 4 years because I've learned so much
Hmm.
about stuff that I've had to deal with, other people have to deal with, and stuff that I don't have to deal with, that other people have
Hmm.
to deal with, and I've opened up and shared about it. And I feel like my knowledge of the mental health world has grown so much because of this. And all this to say, um, I had someone I can't remember off the top of my head who it was that said this, but I had someone diagnosed with ADHD on the show, and they were saying that a lot of women don't get diagnosed at a younger age because it doesn't show the same way that it does in boys
Hmm.
or like men. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so a lot of women end up growing up with it going unnoticed or undiagnosed because it just doesn't show up the same way that it does in men, right? So it's like
Hmm.
I feel so bad for women that have to grow up with ADHD because they just go their whole time thinking that's just the way that it is, or it's not
Hmm.
noticed, or it goes undiagnosed, and then it's not until you get older where like these ideologies have already developed in your mind at this point, like, when you're getting to your like early 20s, that you start to realize these things and go, oh, this is that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But then at that point, it's like you've already lived with it for so long. It's like,
Yeah, you've come up with your little hacks and stuff that are, you
yeah,
know,
exactly.
but
Like the only thing I can describe it or to relate it to in my experience is that I'm diagnosed with OCD,
mhm,
and a lot of OCD and ADHD symptoms overlap sometimes.
yeah,
Like they're very similar. I'm sure you can relate to this if your mom has OCD and you have
yeah,
ADHD, so you've probably seen
yeah.
it in person. But yeah, so there's a lot of overlap, and so like I was diagnosed when I was young, but there unfortunately really wasn't treatment when I was
Mm,
younger for OCD. Like they had medication, but I was too young to go on some of the stronger medication,
yeah, yeah.
and so like I was on lighter medication for a while, and it didn't really do very much for me. Um, and so I had to just kind of manage it on my own. And like you like you said, Rach, like you kind of come up with like
Yeah,
hacks for yourself, or
yeah.
like ways to cope with it and deal with it to make it manageable for you,
Sticky
right?
notes everywhere.
Whatever
Yeah,
works for you, right? Like
yeah,
whatever helps you,
yeah.
like not like so it doesn't debilitate you, basically,
Yes,
you
yeah,
know. And it's not until you get older that you realize, oh fuck, there's this thing I could do or that thing I could do, or like I shouldn't have been doing this the whole time. And it's like all these things that you missed out when you're younger that now you're figuring out when you're older, right?
yeah. Oh yeah. It's a learning curve for sure. And that's why awareness is just like so important. Like honestly, I did the whole like diagnosis and like the looking into the past and like the child like behavior and all this stuff.
Right.
But I really just like started realizing it more with like social media. People were telling their stories, talking about it. And then, like in one of my assessments, the doctor was like, oh, all these girls on TikTok think they have ADHD. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk to somebody else. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Um, I'm like, are you okay? Fine. Anyway, so there's a lot of that. Also, as a woman in healthcare, as maybe a lot of listeners will know. But yeah. So and then just like gaslighting myself that I don't. I'm not.
That's not me.
There's a theme here. I gaslight myself
Clearly.
constantly. Yeah, I should write a song about that.
Let's get into that.
But
Why do you think that is? If you had to like really
oh.
think about it.
I think perfectionism. I think it's perfectionism a little bit, or like this like good
Interesting.
girl, like this doesn't align with this like, image, I think maybe of who I thought I was to be, growing up. I think, yeah, I was the only girl. I have three brothers.
Okay.
I have like, grew up in like the church and like there's a lot of different
Mm,
expectations for me versus my brothers. I think I just like saw a lot of that and like I feel like I need to be put together all the time, or like I
mm,
need to be I can't swear, or I can't have an outburst, or
right.
these types of things. So then that kind of became part of this like narrative, I guess. And so when I had
Interesting.
something that didn't belong in that really black and white narrative, and like growing up, I think honestly, if you're growing up in the church and there's a lot of like black and white messaging and stuff like that, and not a lot of adaptability and like learning, and like if this falls outside, then it's wrong, it's sinful, or like we don't, this is our faith, and anything else that's challenging it, we just don't think about. So like
Right.
that, I think in my brain development as a kid, I think that was stifled a lot. And this is why I have such a hard time with it as I'm growing older.
Yeah.
And working really hard to unlearn and relearn better kind of mentalities. But I think, yeah, I think for a long time, if that didn't fit into this narrative, then I would just either not acknowledge it or not dig into it.
Right.
So that, yeah, I haven't thought about it a ton, honestly. I'm just really just going off the top of my head right
No,
now. But
that's good though.
yeah, I think, yeah, and I've talked about a little bit of that in therapy too. But yeah, that is like one of the biggest themes I think in my life, like as I'm
Yeah.
growing, is that kind of black and white gray area
It
stuff.
seems
I talk about
like
it in my songs too. So yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it seems to me like from an outsider's perspective in
Hmm.
and like knowing you like kind of well but not really that well, like I can only judge from what you're telling me.
Hmm.
But it seems to me like your upbringing kind of fed you this false margin of error,
Hmm.
like the church and like you putting the pressure on yourself from what they taught you and what you were just brought up to believe,
Hmm.
put you in this like, hang on, where is the camera? There it is. Put you in this like margin of error, and
Hmm.
anything outside of this margin of error was a no-no.
Hmm.
And so you were like forced down this little lane of things that you could and couldn't do. And like that pressure is enormous for someone growing up and like trying to
Hmm.
learn who they are and like not being able to step out of those margin of error.
Yeah, yeah. I've also learned that it's part of ADHD too, that like narrow kind of like if something's outside, like it's like ugh. Like some I've learned that too from talking about it in therapy. Like
Yeah.
for example, when I was like in the dating like scene, if like a guy friend would like start being romantic, I'd be like like no, stay in your lane. Like it would freak me out so much.
Right, right.
And like uh it's a wonder I've like been able to like have a relationship. Just kidding. It was a lot of growing. Dude, man, you gotta find the right people to stick around, man. What the right person does, they'll stick around. But damn, there's a lot of growth in relationship, which is
Of course.
pretty awesome too. What's broken in a relationship, you heal in a relationship.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the
you
goal
can heal.
anyways. That's
Yeah, that's the goal. And that's why therapy is a relationship. I studied therapy. I went to school for psychology, so I'm just like
Oh, there you
spitting that
go.
out.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I wanted to be a therapist when I was going to university because growing up I was a therapist for my family. So I was like,
Uh-oh.
that's what I'm good at. Let's go. And then I started going to the classes. I was like, oh, this is so heavy. And now I'm a sponge. I just absorb all the feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So now I take that and I put it into music, and that's how I
Expel it
think
all out.
use my that's how I wring out the sponges. Just on stage, on the microphone, telling
Yeah,
people
in
everything.
front of everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Interesting. God, there's so much that we could dive into here.
I
I
just
don't
went on a
even
huge tangent.
don't even know where to start. I had a thought and I forgot what it was now. Damn. Okay, let's go down the avenue of I feel like we need like a synopsis maybe.
Hmm.
Um so maybe for the listeners and the viewers, like maybe in like bullet point kind of style, take us through your mental health journey from like where you first started seeing it and like what maybe would
Hmm.
have caused that and then kind of walk us through some like I guess quote unquote lowlights,
Yeah,
or like just moments where you notice your mental health, kind of developing in that direction.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um,
Because
I
you
can
you
use this.
talk you talked
Yeah,
about so much there, and I
yeah,
and I want to touch
okay.
upon these things because I find it
Hmm.
very interesting, to like because
Yeah,
that's what made you the person that you are now, right?
yeah,
All these things,
yeah,
right? So
definitely. I think wow, like where to start? I guess like the therapy journey. Like I started going when I was in, I think maybe grade 11 or 12, and my mom was like, maybe, and like at that point in grade 11 and 12 too, there was like a lot of familial breakdown and like almost divorce time, like that kind of thing,
okay,
and just like my siblings were 4 kids in 5 years. Like we were all teenagers. There was a lot of energy in the house,
Yeah.
a lot of conflict. So that's kind of when my mom was like, maybe we should like, talk to somebody kind of thing.
Hmm.
I had a lot of friends too, so I was just trying to like be out of the house as much as possible. Conflict avoidance, classic. And it was like a smart move, I think, at the time. But yeah, we talked about like I think I like cried the entire first thing and my mom was there and like we didn't even talk about anything. I was just bawling. I'm like, oh, okay, here we are. Like, let's go.
There's some repressed
Uh,
trauma that you got to get through.
oh yeah, something we didn't talk about. But yeah, that's kind of like the first experience. We talked about like Rachel, like everybody in your life, their gardens are beautiful because you've been hopping over the fence and weeding them and doing all this stuff. But meanwhile, your garden is disastrous, basically.
Right,
Um,
right.
I've always been a real imagery gal, so that was really helpful for me to understand, like, oh, maybe I should consider putting myself first type thing.
Hmm.
And then, I went to university, started studying psychology, and then we're like learning about different disorders in class, and I'm like, oh, that sounds familiar to me.
Yeah.
So then I start like diagnosing myself in class, I guess. And then yeah, I did like a little bit of like the school supplied kind of like therapy. They have like different ones on campus and stuff.
Yeah.
I really wanted to stop picking at my skin because that was like a big one.
Yeah.
Didn't work. I mean, I still do it, but
Yeah.
it's a lifelong kind of like regulation thing I've
And is that
now
like an
learned.
anxiety thing for you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like my fingers are constantly ripped up.
Is it like an anxious tick almost?
Yeah, it's like I think it's just like a weird comfort.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and I've been doing it since I was like 12 years old.
My friend does the same
And then,
thing, so
yeah,
yeah.
it's just like, I think it's like a reach to like regulate with like in a not, I guess, a not healthy way. But yeah, it's just it's just as always, and I've tried to
Yeah.
like put in different habits, but it's like, it's hard when that neuron has been
Hmm.
firing
Yep.
for a very long time.
No,
So,
I get it, man. Like
yeah,
through
yeah,
my OCD, like I have tics as well. That
yeah,
my OCD is just like it's like you said, like these neuron just fires, and it's like the way I describe it is almost like it's an itch that you need to scratch,
yeah,
or like that, like it's like an itch on your back that you can't quite get
yeah,
to until you fulfill whatever it is that needs to be fulfilled, and then it relieves, you know?
yeah, yeah. And there's definitely, there's a better way. And for a while, I like stopped. This bullet point goal was a little bit lofty, I will say. But yeah, I did manage it for like a little bit, and then then you just yeah. But I'm trying so hard not to be shameful about it because that
Yeah.
was like I think the biggest thing is like I'm like, it's disgusting, it's gross, it looks bad. People ask me about it. I have to tell them like my fingers are covered in blood because I literally do it to myself. Like
Yeah.
what? Like
Yeah.
it's just I'm just trying to be give yourself grace. Rachel.
Yes.
Give yourself grace. Give yourself grace.
That's my new phrase this last month.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
give
it's a
yourself
good one.
grace.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I gotta keep repeating that to myself because that's
We gotta put in a song
definitely-
so that we can keep singing it.
yeah. Give yourself grace.
Yep.
But yeah, bullet points, I guess. I'm forgetting the question already, but
Yeah, talk about your upbringing, because I feel like
Yeah.
a
Mhm.
lot of where you're at now seems to be, just the tendency of most mental health stuff is
Mhm.
childhood early trauma.
Oh, yeah.
That goes unresolved for years, and then it
Mhm.
manifests in anxiety and depression and all this other stuff later in life. So it sounds to me like you, from the upbringing you had within the church, are you Catholic, Christian?
Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also had a lot of great experiences in church too.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
it's, again, the not black and white thing,
It's
but
not all bad, but there's
it's not all
it
bad.
sounds like there's
Had
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, there's like I think I think it's just part of like who I am, like to the core, and like I see it in my mom, I see it in my Oma.
Mm-hmm.
my mom's mom.
Yep.
Two is just like, it's just ingrained as that like helper, positive kind of like mentality. So then
Mm-hmm.
I took on a lot of that kind of role. I think I just wanted everybody to be, I just wanted harmony. And so I
Mm-hmm.
would do whatever I could to like either like cover, like smother conflict, or like if I could, I was like hyper aware. Like I could feel when like people were getting frustrated and, you know, if something was going to bubble up into like a
Mm-hmm.
fist fight or like a chair being thrown or like something like that. So I
Yeah.
would be like on edge trying to make, I'm gonna tell a joke now, or like I'm
Yeah.
gonna like take my little brother away and we're gonna do something, or I'm gonna like, you know, that
Right.
kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
then the way that when you grow up in like a conflict
Mm-hmm.
kind of heavy household or whatever, you have that hyper awareness. And
Yep.
then when you're an adult, you have normal situations where maybe conflict is bubbling up, and this conflict is good. You need to talk about it and you need to go through the change.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, shut it down. Someone's going to throw a chair across the room. And that's not going to happen. But that is
Yeah.
that memory
Yep.
that, you know, you hold on to when you're a
Yeah.
kid. So
That's your experience
that's,
of what it feels like to be in the
yeah.
situation, right? So,
Yeah. So that was
yeah.
like, you know, if you have been through therapy, you kind of like talk through those. What would you say to your, you know, childhood self, or like, how
Mm-hmm.
would you comfort them, or how would you comfort that, you know, that inner child, you know?
Yeah. How would
So
you go from being a caretaker to taking care of yourself?
yeah, like, Rachel, it's not your job, sweetie. You're doing the best you
Oh,
can, but
it's amazing how
yeah,
much I can relate to this. And
yeah,
again, thank you for sharing.
yeah,
'Cause yeah, when my parents passed away, like I had to step up and be the caretaker for my brother and my
mm-hmm.
grandparents, and then
Mm,
when my aunt stepped in and took us as a guardian, like I would take care of my brother when she had to work, obviously, right? So it's like
yeah,
I've just had this caretaking role my whole life because it was just kind of like thrusted upon me, and I had to step up and
yeah,
do it. And so like I just carried that on throughout my life of being the caretaker person. And
mm-hmm.
the analogy you said earlier about the gardens is like
Yeah,
so cripplingly truthful.
yeah, that's a
Uh,
good one.
of like
Shout out Heather, my
yeah,
first therapist.
honestly, like
Yeah,
it paints such a unfortunate but truthful picture of like people that grow up like you and like me who have to take this caretaking role at such an early age, and it just forms us into the people that we are now. And like you just spend so much time innately taking care of everybody else because that's all you've known to do,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
That you forget to water your own grass.
yeah, yep, yep. It's a real thing. I think it's a pretty common experience too for, I feel like a lot of people would be able to, yeah, relate to that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, then it's just the hard work to remember to water your garden. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to want to help people, but you know, you got to watch out for
Mm-hmm.
yourself too, because,
Balance.
you know,
You got to find a
balance.
balance
It's all about
between,
balance. Yeah,
because at the end of the day,
yeah,
like you can only give so much if you only have so much to give. Like if you're
yes,
constantly giving all
exactly.
the time and you're not taking care of yourself, then you're gonna burn
Yeah.
yourself out, and then like you're not gonna be able to help the way you should be able to help.
Hmm.
You know? So
And if
and
you were constantly giving, and people start to see that, and the wrong people start to see that, they might take advantage of you,
mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep.
which I've definitely gone through in my life. But yeah. And then if you're not thinking about yourself, then you won't realize that's happening. And then
Yep.
suddenly you're in extremely toxic relationships where,
Yep.
yeah. But
Yep. We call those life
yeah,
suckers.
life suckers. Yeah.
Yeah, they just suck the life out of you.
And you have the expectation that everyone is also going to be giving like you are, but then you realize that you are not the norm, and that not everybody is also going to be, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another big one too, is like um being like in a relationship too, like everyone is hyper aware, right? Everyone's gonna just know exactly what I need all the time. I'm never gonna have to like say, actually voice what I need, because why don't you just pick up on, that's not normal,
It's
Rachel.
not how that
you
works.
actually you actually have to say, hey, I need this from you right now.
You got to communicate.
That was so, oh God, communication. That's been such a huge learning curve too, and it's so good. But yeah, I went all over the place there. But yeah, and oh yeah, also just like from childhood,
Yeah.
the song I wrote a song called "Something's Gonna Break," and it really just encapsulates everything that we've been like chatting about, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know how these things catch up to you a little bit and come out in ugly ways. But yeah, at the end of the day, I also don't want to like. I still have like great love for my family, of course, and like my
Sure.
upbringing
Of
and
course.
and all this stuff. You know, you do the best with what you know,
Mm-hmm.
and then you fix it along the way.
Yeah.
Don't forget there's always room for repair, which is
Totally.
something that I also didn't realize until recently. It's not just done. Like you can,
Yeah.
there's always space to repair
Mm-hmm.
if you want to work on that. So
You got to give yourself the grace.
give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. Yeah.
So
So
you had the church upbringing, which we
mhm.
discussed about, that kind of put you in this like weird margin of error situation. Um, do you think the anxiety kind of stemmed from that per se, along with like your, it sounds like your family interactions at home were kind of, conflicting and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
I know you mentioned divorce. I'm sorry to hear that, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's better this way, you know?
At the end of the day, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's better off that way,
Yeah.
of course. But during the
Yeah.
process, it's never easy, obviously, especially for the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
so I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety from that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, a lot of those feelings probably came up in those times of your life, like during
Mhm.
your upbringing in the church, and then the conflict at home, and then the divorce, stuff like that. So, where do you think the depression plays a role in your life? Does that come from the anxiety, or
Yeah.
does that come from a place of uh the perfectionism you mentioned? Like,
Yeah. I think it stems down from like maybe I still don't even have a great definition of what depression is because I've been literally avoiding it forever. But
right.
I think it comes down from that. I think it comes down from that perfectionism and like
Mm-hmm.
if I don't like make it to that quote unquote level that I've kind of created, or if I like make a mistake, which I do all the fucking time, that's humans, right? And or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, um, then it's like, how do I get out of that crushing or like guilt spiral? And then that kind of like sends you downwards, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of guilt and shame in like the church too.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah, I think, yeah, it's just those like kind of things that you, I don't know, just kind of start holding you back, or like you start telling yourself that narrative that like, you know, this isn't good enough, or like, I wasn't kind enough to that person, or like, yeah, just like, I think it just comes from like this expectation and just starts weighing and weighing. And then when you
Yeah.
don't, you know, deal with it, then
Mm-hmm.
you just carry it along with you all the time.
Yeah, repression is a bitch.
So, oh, repression is a huge bitch.
Repression's a bitch. And that
Yeah.
that kind of
So,
manifests into depression later, because if you don't deal with it for a long
hmm
time, then it builds up. And then
yeah,
on top of the stuff that you're adding it on as you go on, right? If you're still not dealing with it,
yeah,
then it just all comes out at once, and then just like a
yeah,
spiral of like these thoughts you were saying. Like
yeah,
depression for me kind of it's I think depression acts differently for everybody. I think it's very contextual. I think it's very person by person case, in my opinion.
hmm
I think it affects
hmm
everybody differently, and I think a common thread that I've seen through doing this show and like talking to my friends and stuff is that like it's very like intrusive thought based. It's very like
hmm
that vicious cycle of like once you get into it, it's really hard to get out of.
hmm
And it sounds like yours stems from your upbringing and your influence from your parents when you were younger, going through that conflict, and then this kind of underlying perfectionism that's kind of in your head, and like
yeah,
trying to obtain this goal that's absurd, but like you've placed it there because of everything you had to go through when you're younger.
Hmm.
And, you step into this spiral of like, am I good enough? What can I be doing better?
Oh, we love the improvement line.
You know what I mean? But
Wow.
that's where it
Oh
starts, though.
yeah.
It starts with
Yeah.
that, and then it like
Hmm.
the depression takes over, and it starts
Hmm.
spewing all this shit that's like not really true.
Hmm.
But it's really hard to get out of though, because it's just a
Hmm.
chemical imbalance in your brain telling you that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Like I always often compare it to like I like to call it a little bully.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's like a
Your
little bully in my head that's
inner
like
critic. Yeah.
screaming at me. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like telling me all these nasty things.
Hmm. I call them my gremlin thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They're
mean
my
like I'm sure
gremlins.
everybody has their own definition of what it
They're
is.
bully, they're gremlin.
Yeah, totally. No, like
Honestly, I love adding a character to my gremlin thoughts because it makes it easier to talk about them, I think. Like
yeah.
I if I have a icky thought and I don't know how to say it, I'll just say, "Hey, I have a gremlin thought and I need to get it out."
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Okay, now I can talk about it." I don't know. It's just some like just small mindset changes that kind of like help me. I'm a visual girl.
No, totally. I think that's
Yeah,
innate
so
in what we do as well. I think that's kind of
yes.
comes with the
Yeah,
territory
that's
of being
true.
artsy people.
That's true. Yeah.
I always often reference the Shining twins.
Oh, you know what? I'm uncultured swine, but yes,
Uh,
I know what you're talking about, but I don't.
I'm kind of referencing like the movie The Shining.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
It's
I
like
haven't seen
that
it though.
scene where the two little girls are like holding hands down the hallway. Anyways, there's these
I'm
creep.
picturing it.
Yeah, you can imagine it, but like just imagine like a horror film with two little girls in like creepy dresses standing in the end of the hallway with like a knife in their hand.
Yeah.
Like that.
Ah.
That's how I kind of imagine like my anxiety and my depression in my head.
Oh yeah.
Is
Oh my
they're like
gosh.
two little evil sisters that are just like,
Hmm.
ready to take me out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
yeah. So where do I want to go from here? Do I want to keep going down this rabbit hole, or do I want to do the segments? I don't know. You tell me, Rach. Do you want to keep going down this rabbit hole, or do you want to do the two segments?
I'm really curious what the segments are. Maybe I'll put a bow on it, and bring it back to the album a little bit too. But yeah, I think the album kind of covers like that descent into, oh my God, I need to work on this, and the avoidance and stuff.
Yeah.
And then something's gonna break is like right in the middle. And that's like what happens when you do avoid it. It came from like a very real experience of like, holy crap, what just happened?
Mm-hmm.
The gremlins were out and about and they were being voiced by me physically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you're like, I did not like that version of me. What do I do? And then working through it. And then the rest of the album is kind of like, okay, let's give ourselves grace and keep learning and growing and stuff like that. So yeah. I think the heaviest amount of like work therapy and stuff that I've been doing has come after university, like early 20s and stuff like that. I think I always had that idea and I was obviously like open to it. I was studying it, but yeah, actually sitting down and taking the time. And I think everybody, I mean, I graduated in 2020, so there was a lot of time to sit
Yeah.
and wallow and think.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that's kind of
Oh,
my
I remember what I wanted
journey.
to ask you now before
Yeah.
the two segments. Just out of curiosity, doesn't really well, it does have to do with mental health. I gotta stop talking. Uh,
No, you
um,
don't.
I wanted to ask where you sit with religion now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Honestly, it's like one of those black and white things again.
Uh-huh.
Packed it up and haven't really thought about what spirituality is like in my life right now. There's like it's a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely like I can see where I can find like comfort in it, and like I still like go home and go to church with my mom and like that kind of thing. I'm not like totally removed, but
Okay.
I wouldn't really call myself a religious person anymore.
Right.
To probably my mom's chagrin. Sorry, mom. I'm gonna be fine. But yeah, it's yeah. I think it's maybe I've pushed it away too far. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lifelong journey. I'm just spitting bullshit right now. Like, it's a lifelong journey. I don't know where I stand right now.
What's it
No,
coming and go?
no. There's the mental health, there's physical health, there's spiritual health, and like
Yeah,
that spiritual health is like, I don't really know. No idea.
it's at the bottom of the tier list right now.
Yeah, I'm like, well,
If you get there, you get there.
if I get there, I get there.
Well, the reason why I asked was because you talked
Yeah.
about your upbringing and how that kind of mentality you when you were younger, being a part of the church going community, whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it, a part of the church, essentially. I was just curious if, like, now that you're older and like you're processing all of this shit, that
Yeah.
it would have made you a bit jaded towards it, perhaps, and like maybe you'd
Yeah.
fall out of it. I don't know, just curious.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm like, if I have a kid, I don't think it's ethical to raise them in the church.
Yeah, that's
Or at
totally
least
fair.
just like, I'm like, maybe it is ethical if you like give them the options and you say, like, I don't know. I just feel like, and it made me who I am today, so it's like cool.
Yeah, yeah,
But like, if I just, if there was just a smidgen of allowing the outside in, or like, this not black and white thinking, then I think it
yes.
would have helped me as a human. But yeah, so definitely, yeah, I'm jaded. I'm definitely jaded. But yeah, the whole next album is gonna be just me delving
Bashing the
into that
church.
more.
Do it.
And yeah, it's
Do
like,
it, Queen.
yeah,
Take it
gotta
out, bro.
do it.
Take it out.
But anywho, yeah. So that if that answers your question,
It does. It
and
does.
yeah,
Just out of curiosity, I was just interested
yeah,
because it was you were talking about it. So,
yeah,
all right, let's get into
yeah.
these two segments now.
Segment, let's go.
So, the first segment is called the Real Reels.
The real reals.
And it's a dumb name, but it's stuck in the last two
I don't think
seasons, and I got to keep doing it now because the fans like it. So,
Well, the fans like it, so I don't think it's dumb. There you
well,
go.
yeah, yeah. So it's called the Real Reels, and in the Real Reels, there's only really one question, but this is the part of the show where comes the most vulnerability, if the guest is obviously comfortable with doing so. This is the part of the show where like I find the not the most, because all of it's important, but like just the breaking down of the stigma that we talked about from the top of the show, like or off camera or whatever we were talking about it. Just like showcasing the real things that humans have to go through that aren't often talked about. So in this segment, like I said, there's only really one question, and it's just, what have been some of the hardest moments in your life that you've had to deal with your mental health?
Yeah. Yeah. I, well, it's hard to like distill it down to like some moments I'd say, but I think like throughout like a couple like moments, like there's that when I was in high school and I was like avoiding everything, and my mom was like, maybe you should go to therapy, and I just bawled the whole first session. It wasn't even a session, it was just an intake. Like that's like, okay, that was a really hard like time to like be like, okay, I need to, this is real. I need to explore this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then in university, there was a lot of that like worldview expansion and extreme questioning of my entire life. Like, I think it's part of being in your 20s too. It's just
Sure.
everything is challenged and like, how do I deal? And then like just being in university dealing with like unmedicated ADHD, managing an a cappella group and 5 courses and a part-time job, and like my room, I never saw the floor. I constantly was losing my keys. Like it was like, but I was like, I'm good. Like I fully believed my like I was faking it till I made it, and like
Yeah.
anyone who would like enter that space would be like, you good? Like, are you okay? So that was like me, like a moment where I'm like so in denial and like didn't realize it. And then
Yeah.
when the pandemic hit, of course,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yep.
just being like, I've been living my life this way and I've been making it through just by filling my schedule and filling the void with like a lot of just things go, 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 go. Like things are happening all the time.
Yep.
And then when that was taken away, it was like, uh, how do I deal? And then I was also going through a breakup and like all this stuff. I had never felt so low. I was like,
Yeah.
but this is gonna go away, right? And it didn't. And then I
Mm-hmm.
was like, whoa, like that was the first time that it really was like, oh, I've always been able to dig myself out of it somehow, even if I was faking it. And that was a time where I was like, holy shit, like I don't know if this is gonna ever feel different.
Yeah.
And it always does, but that was a really heavy time.
Yeah.
And then even like as the pandemic kind of continued and like finally going and like digging into therapy and like really
Mm-hmm.
getting into those like moments and like experiencing conflict and stuff with like certain relationships and people that were like, you know, didn't have my best interests in mind and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and again, still in denial too. Like I was like calling my like sister-in-law. I was crying like every single day. And I'm like, she's like, you should like get out of this situation. I'm like, I can't. Or, like, you know, like
Yeah.
that was like,
Yeah.
you know,
Sorry to
but
ask a blunt question here,
yeah, yeah, blunt. Let's
but
go.
now that we're, in the depths of,
The depths of the pits.
yeah, um, were you ever suicidal at all?
No, I think I've never really like thought of like very seriously or like made a plan or anything. I've had thoughts like, holy shit, I have to do this for like ever. Like, you know, like, whoa, this is life and it's gonna keep going. Like those kind of
Like
thoughts, or
when you
like,
were in the depressive episode, you were thinking that?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to do this again. Or like this is like when you get out of it, you're like, oh, but it's gonna go down again. And that's life. It's just gonna keep going. But like
Yeah, yeah.
it's like when you first like start working out and you realize that you have to like eat healthy and work out forever in order to maintain it. And you're like, oh
You're
my
like,
God,
oh
really?
no. You're like,
Are you serious? So it's kind of like that, those kind of feelings and stuff.
right.
But I never really like, I've never really, I think, gone like that far. I think I fear death too much. Maybe I just
Interesting.
don't. I'm like, I just don't. I really like being. I like
I
being
like
alive.
being alive.
I like being alive.
That's
I like
great though, honestly. I'm
music and I
happy to
want to
hear
like
that.
keep doing that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what if I die and then all my voice memos never become songs?
Yeah, see, I don't think I'm so much
Yeah.
scared of death as I am scared of dying before accomplishing what I want to accomplish.
Mm.
I think I'm okay with dying. I think I've had a lot of death
Yeah.
in my life, so I'm
Yeah.
so comfortable with death now at this point
Yeah.
that I don't really fear dying. It's more so dying before I'm able to get the shit done that I want to get done,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to die with
No, that's
regrets.
real.
Regrets.
I know, right? Yeah. No, that's definitely real.
But I'm glad to
So
hear that you were never suicidal. Like that's good.
yeah.
I'm glad you never got to
Yeah, I think so.
that low of a point.
Yeah, like I've definitely felt there's
And not taking away from the way that you felt at all.
yeah,
Like not
yeah.
saying that
No,
you
no,
have
of
to be
course.
this
And
low, like whatever. It's like
yeah,
no, like
yeah.
I'm sure what you
And
had to
like
go
thank
through
God
was
there's
super
music
tough for
to
you.
yeah, yeah,
You
to
know,
work through it. But
all of our experiences are our own experiences, and like you can't compare yourself to other
yeah.
anybody else. Like your low is your
Yeah.
low, right? So it's like I'm sure that
Hmm.
time of your life was super fucking tough
Yeah, yeah.
and
And
something
it
you had to
keeps
navigate.
going. Yeah.
Is there
You
any
see the light at the
other
end of the tunnel,
moments that
and
you
then
want
you
to
see the
discuss,
tunnel
or
at the end of the light.
yeah, yeah,
um, yeah. I think, yeah, I think, pretty like that was like a big moment.
yeah.
And then like losing my job and like
Mm-hmm.
everything just kind of like went down. Like this is just, you realize that it's just life. And maybe I'm just generalizing this or making it too simple, but like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I similar to the gremlin thoughts, I also made this narrative to help me through that time because I like we're still in between places. We were about to like move to like the city, like it was gonna happen, and then I lost my job, and so we had to move back to Fort Erie. And then when we got here, there was fleas, and
Oh no.
we had a huge flea problem for, and I was just And then after that, I had a weird allergic reaction to this cream that I bought. And so I had, please, this is TMI. And then my entire body was covered in hives. I was itchy for, I swear to God, 5 weeks straight. I was itchy all the time.
Oh no.
And I was like, what is going on?
Ah.
It just felt like it was just like blow after blow after blow.
Yep.
And so I wrote this song called My Life is a Sitcom to help me through it, where I just was
Nice.
like, who's directing my show right now? It's not that funny, but okay,
You can stop now.
do it for the laughs, but please write something better in the script, please.
Yeah, please.
So honestly, like putting myself outside of their narrative a little bit and kind of making a joke about it. Maybe not, the best thing to do all the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in that moment, it really helped me put myself out of the situation and be like, okay,
Yeah.
things are gonna eventually get better. But
It kind
yeah.
of grounded you in a way.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah. So
okay,
now that I
it's
have
fine.
this, coping mechanism of saying my life is a sitcom, I think I can make it through the next flea infestation.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen, but
Yeah, hopefully, but yeah, you just keep building those positive scenarios and like examples of how you made it through,
Mhm.
and then you just keep remembering those the next time, and things will just eventually, get better, and then they'll get worse, and then they'll get better, and then
Yep. There's
yeah.
sorry, not to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
there's a bee flying at my window right now, and he really wants to listen to what you're saying.
Ah, bees.
We love bees.
They could learn a lot from this whole sitcom coping mechanism, I think. But
And I think we could learn a lot from bees.
I think we could learn a lot from bees. That's true. That's true.
All right, that being said, let's go to our next segment.
All right, next segment.
Thank you, Rach, for sharing those moments. I'm sure it wasn't easy to talk about because those are some hard moments in your life, but we appreciate it. I know I can speak for the audience and listeners that it's not easy to talk about these hard moments in your life, but thank you for sharing them, and hopefully somebody out there can relate to what you said and can see you here now and know that you made it through those times in your life, those deep depressive episodes and the anxiety and stuff like that, and the undiagnosed ADHD and all the things that we've discussed so far.
Yeah.
So the next segment is called the rainbow segment.
The rainbow. Oh my gosh.
So it's like coming out of the darkness and into the upward trajectory, hopefully.
Nice. Yeah.
Like you said, life is peaks and valleys. That's kind of how it goes. But you made it here, and we're having this conversation right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows me that you're in a better place than maybe you were a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So in the rainbow segment, we like to talk about how you've developed with your mental health to the point where you're at now. Mm-hmm. Has there been any constructive ways or maybe different coping mechanisms or different sort of activities even that you found have helped you manage your mental health better to get you to where you are now?
Yeah. I'd say just there's a bunch of things. There's the kind of narratives, like the positive ones, like I was mentioning, like the sitcom thing, like things silly things like that.
Yeah.
I'm also a creature of not ritual, routine and habit. And when a lot of things are out of control in my life, like my living situation or my job or something like that, then if I pick one thing to stay really consistent on, that's helpful. So going for walks every day at lunch is something that I stick by. It's really small. It's not that hard, but it's a little consistent thing in my life that has been helpful. Going to therapy, of course, talking to somebody who's a professional, and leaning on your people in your life that, support you and love you and remind you that you are capable and strong, and, that kind of thing too is always really good. You just gotta keep dipping into that well a little bit as well. I think it can be really easy in the world that we live in and the internet to feel individualistic and have to get through this on my own, or everybody has their like main character kind of like, thing, but I don't know. I want to be relying on more people more often. Like a phone call, a 15-minute phone call to a friend is like so helpful.
Totally.
Um, um, so yeah, getting out of it. I mean, there are certain things like, I don't know, the last one, like getting a job really helped. Like, having more financial stability and like
Sure. Yeah.
a routine and like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a reason to wake up in the morning. That was all helpful,
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, no, I think like if those things are out of your control, then yeah, just finding little things that you can control. Yeah. Like I had a hair routine like you wouldn't believe. Like I spent like 2 hours in the morning. Like you just gotta, I don't know. And I've always been like a hobby type person. So I was like, I'm gonna learn how to bake or like this. So it was like I've been through the whole pandemic thing. I can like bake banana bread and sourdough
I
again.
was gonna
Like let's
say, did
go.
you break the
Uh,
sourdough bread?
I didn't do the sourdough, but I did try, baking and
Baking bread?
painting and I wrote a lot of tunes and learned guitar and stuff.
Did you do that
But
like weird coffee thing that was like really big in the pandemic? Like it was like that
whoa,
foamy coffee thing.
was it like butter coffee or
I
something
don't know
like
what the
that? Was
fuck
there
it
like
was.
butter in it?
Something.
That's ringing a
It was
bell.
really
I don't think
frothy
I did it.
coffee. I don't know.
Frothy coffee.
I don't drink coffee, so I would know, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that thing.
yeah, yep.
Where
No,
do
I
you sit
didn't.
now with your anxiety and depression?
Um, you know, it's part of me.
Yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
trying to love it.
Period. Period. That
Like, like I and also with like ADHD too, like I'm constantly apologizing for like shit that I do. And I'm like, I'm sorry, or like, like people who are close to me be like, did you take your meds? And I'm like, yes,
yes, I did.
I like I'll still always have this.
Oh, so you are
Um,
on medication.
yeah.
Is that
Man, my life is so much better now. I mean, I still have like, I still deal with shit. It's just like a little less chaotic. I would say.
yeah. So is the
So
medication for your ADHD?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
And I think it helps with anxiety too, because I just feel a little less chaotic all the time.
Yeah, for
And like a
sure.
little less like, what's the next step? Or like prioritizing and stuff like
Well, I
that.
definitely feel
Was a
like the
huge thing.
ADHD, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like the
Yeah.
ADHD kind of would bring on the anxiety.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. And honestly, a lot of it was like I constantly had this like feeling of I needed to fill a void of something. And a
Mm,
lot of times that would be like sugar or like going away from my work to like play guitar or like, and I would just never be able to like stay in something because I keep getting this ping that's like do something else, or like
right,
get that
right.
dopamine hit or something like that. So
Yep.
now with that not like being like managed by medication, I'm a lot, it's a lot better throughout the day. And I eat less candy. Thank God I didn't pick up smoking. Oh my God,
Oh boy.
I'd be addicted for sure.
Yeah.
So anyway,
You'd be a pack a day kind of
yeah,
person.
yeah. Honestly, I believe that. But I was way too hard on my dad growing up for smoking that I just, out of spite, I could
You're like,
not
no.
do it. I like was the girl who like took it and flushed them down the toilet. I was like, stop. Anyway,
Yeah. You know what's funny
so
about
yeah,
that? You brought up
yeah,
smoking and like all oh my God, all of my close friends always make fun of me for this. Not fun of me. I mean like you'll understand in a second what I'm gonna say, but like so I don't know if I ever talked to you about this, Rach, but I was a drug addict
yeah.
for a long time.
Oh, no, you
Um
never told me, but
yeah, so I was a drug addict. Yeah, I was yeah, I did drugs for a long time.
all
No.
right.
Um
Wow. Well, congrats on where you are now.
thank you. Thank you. It's been a long time coming to
Yeah,
reference my own song.
yeah.
Um, God, that felt awful. Anyways,
That's good. It's good. You got to do it.
you did it earlier, so that maybe I
Yeah.
have a
No,
pass to
no,
do it
it's
at
good.
least once.
Yeah, you do have a past.
No, but like, yeah, I was a drug addict from about grade 10 till no, grade 9, sorry, grade 9 to a couple years after high school, like so, like first year of college. So for
Mm.
like 6 years, I think, somewhere around there. Um, and I did it a lot. Not gonna get into it on the podcast for legal reasons, but uh, let's just say I did a lot of stuff. But one
Mhm.
of the things I never did was smoke a cigarette.
Yeah,
I have never,
gotta have your
I have
morals,
never
you know.
once smoked a cigarette in my life, but I've done all sorts of drugs. And so whenever my friends are talking, they're like, "Wait, what? You did all of this shit, but you never smoked a cigarette?" And I was like, "Nope, never once."
Yeah,
That's
there
where
you
I draw
go.
the line.
You can have that. That is, you got that. That's
I don't know.
funny.
I just thought it was funny because you're talking about your dad smoking and you're throwing out the
Yeah.
cigarettes, and I weirdly in the same way with that. I'm like, "Don't smoke," but and then everyone's like, "Taylor, you're a drug addict," and I was like, "Fuck you."
Leave it be.
But I've been sober for 8 years now, so
Congratulations.
thank you. I'm looking forward to that 10-year chip.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I know that Shannon's going through her journey too, so we're kind of
Hmm.
rooting each other on, which is nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's that community, you lean on
Absolutely.
each other. You don't have to do it alone. That's awesome.
Absolutely. I forgot to ask, did you ever have like any vices or crutches that you use during your like depression, anxiety era?
Mm,
Era, like it's over.
yeah, my era. It's like Taylor Swift. I'm gonna go on tour one day and it's gonna be like, here's my depression
This is my
era.
depression era, my anxiety era, my ADHD era.
Man, the sets for that show would be hilarious. Okay, sorry, back on track.
Yes, yes.
Your question, vices. I'd say my main vices to fill the void. I'm a big like sugar fiend. I know that sounds kind of silly, but
No,
like
no, it's totally
big
fair.
sugar fiend. I'll chug an orange crush any day.
Okay.
Love that sunset yellow FCF gives me a hit every time. Sorry. Um, Picking my fingers is a
I
vice,
was about to
I'd say.
say, yeah, yeah.
That is one that is constant. Thrift shopping.
Retail therapy.
Yeah. And I would like justify it a lot. It's
Mm-hmm.
just $4 here or there.
Yep. It adds up
My
though.
closet is overflowing. My you can't see the floor. Like, yeah, and that's just like, oh, that would be if I was picking my skin too. I'm a picker. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, those are kind of vices. I never like I think there's like a stubbornness in me, like with the cigarettes and like with
Mm-hmm.
uh like alcohol and whatever. Like I was like told from a young age that alcoholism runs in the family, so don't like overdo
Mm,
it. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm never gonna do that. So I
right.
still like drink, but I've never like,
I was gonna ask, do you drink now or like
yeah,
do you just
yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah. I like again, probably one of those denial things where I'm like, that's not me though.
Like I'm under control.
I'm under control. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like I definitely have a good relationship with alcohol and with and those types of things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've never like I feel like I haven't like quite pushed through the limit, pushed or like I don't like it's like more of a social thing. I feel like I have a pretty good handle. I'd say like maybe the biggest vice is overworking. I think that's actually the
Uh,
biggest one is just like constantly filling the void by just being busy.
that's
And
fair.
I
Yeah.
realized that when the pandemic hit and I didn't have that and I was like totally lost.
Mm,
So I think yeah, I think like in that like pandemic-y like time where I was really having problems,
yeah.
I never stopped working. I did like the day job and then after I would like work on guitar and then I was writing blogs. I was non like I would wake up at like 6 and from my bed I'd be writing and then I'd do my work and then I was just yeah. I think
Damn.
overworking is and I definitely still do that like today as well. I think it's just like a control thing. I like feel like I have control because I'm working on something.
Well, I
But
think it might stem from too, like, because I know that I was guilty of this for a long time with my depression
mhm,
before I was remedicated again.
mhm,
Was that I would fill, exactly what you said, fill the void, like because if I wasn't busy, that's when my brain would be like, "Hey Taylor, you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit."
yeah,
And if you're distracted with working and
yeah,
stuff, then you don't have time to think about that. Your brain is
mhm,
occupied with the task at hand, right?
yeah, yeah,
So, but
definitely.
like that's you can only do that for so long though.
Yeah,
Because
and then you get burnt out.
yeah,
And then
you get
it's
burnt
like,
out, and then like, or the
or
pandemic happens and you can't work that
yeah,
much. Or in
yeah.
your case, it sounds like you worked even harder.
Yeah, jeez.
Um,
I don't want to
but I
do
know
that
for
again.
me, like it really struck me in the pandemic because like I'm a server, right? So like I can only work in person. I can't work remotely. I can't serve
Yeah,
people via Zoom call.
yeah, no.
You know what I mean? So like I didn't have a
Yeah,
job to go to, and like I didn't feel any inspiration to write because like everything was fucked.
yeah,
So I just lost purpose, and I just stopped doing
yeah.
stuff, and like I went crazy. I went fucking
Hmm.
crazy.
Hmm.
And that was like the first time that I'd noticed the depression was never really gone,
Hmm.
only because I was so distracted for the last couple of years of being keeping myself busy all the time and
Hmm.
not being able to sit in it and
Yeah,
actually process it and deal with it. So it sounds
yeah,
like you and I
no,
have similar
can
paths
relate.
in that
Yes, we
regard.
do. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I hope that you're working on that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Honestly, like I don't notice it a lot of the time too. I just because like I'll hyperfixate as well, like so heavy, and then I
Sure.
don't notice that I'm like doing that, and then people in my life will be like, "How about we just take a break, maybe?" Or I haven't heard from you in a while, Rachel. Like,
Yeah.
what
What's
that
going
like
on?
do? Yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, I definitely rely on the people in my life too to keep me on track. And I like tell them, I'm like, just hit me up once in a while. And you can't like put all that pressure on people
No,
to be
yeah.
like, check in
It's a
on
two-way
me.
street.
Yeah. But I definitely have a lot of good people in my life who look out for me and I love them for that. So
Absolutely. You
yeah,
need that. It's important to
yeah.
have that support system in
Hmm.
place. You
Yes.
hear that, listeners and
Indeed.
viewers? Make sure you have a good support system in place. And if you don't have
Let's
one,
go.
find one.
Even on like TikTok, you know? I don't know. Okay, TikTok is a double-edged
I
sword
was gonna
because
say, maybe not
maybe not.
heavily rely
But
on
like,
that, but
there's online communities or like if you're
absolutely, of
in a
course.
remote area. But you know, yeah, TikTok is like I'm like I'll go sometimes I'll do that for like a little, uh block out the world. But I don't want to do it anymore because you get a quick hit, you're like, ha, that was hilarious, or like that was a cool story, and then the next one is like, my grandpa just died, and I'm like, oh my God,
You're
like
like,
what? Like I'm like having an emotional roller coaster like constantly. I can't.
literally. Well,
Anyway.
that's how they get you invested in it, though. That again, that's a whole other podcast right there. It's a whole podcast.
Yeah, anyway,
We could be
but
super meta and put that podcast on TikTok so that people can see it. That'd be so funny.
yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
Wow, we covered a lot here today, Rach.
Yeah, yes,
Thank you so
yeah.
much for one being on the podcast, two
Cool.
telling us your story and being so vulnerable with your life and
Yeah,
your mental health and stuff like that. Like I really
yeah.
appreciate it. I'm sure the viewers and listeners are really going to appreciate you being so open and telling us about your story and your journey with your mental health struggles and stuff. Is there anything that you'd like to touch upon before we move out into the
Mhm.
outro, or anything
Yeah, I
that
think
you
we
you
covered
think you
it.
covered it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. My grandmas are like, but make sure you say nice things about everybody that you said bad things about because. But no, I'm good.
No, we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it
Yeah,
there.
we're gonna leave it. I
Tell
love
those
you
gremlins to
all.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, yeah. Shut up.
Shut
Anyway,
up,
but yeah,
bro.
thanks so much for having me, Taylor.
Absolutely,
This has
Rachel. Of
been really great.
course.
Thanks for being such a open person. You make it really easy to talk about these things, and I
Aw,
like your mission of, making it more normal to talk about.
thank you.
So
I
the next
really,
time you're in a coffee shop, tell your server that
yeah.
you hate life. That is the gist
That.
of it.
If you could take away any of this podcast, it's that.
Yeah. It's just trauma dump on the first person you see when you leave your house.
And
Go.
and then you can at Rachel and I so that
Yeah.
we're
And say,
yeah,
we gave permission to do so. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
Oh God. Okay, I had an idea midway through this conversation to do this. I don't know what
Yes.
came over me. I've never done
Let's
this
go.
before, so you're gonna be my first guest that I'm ever gonna do this
Sweet.
with.
Sweet.
Let's do a fucking lightning round of
Lightning round.
just fun questions.
Fun questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
No
to end
tangents.
off
Just lightning.
this like deep pod that we just had.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, Rachel, favorite
Yeah.
food?
Pasta. Yeah. No. Pickles. Pickles.
Pickles.
Still pickles. Still
Go from
pickles.
pasta
No,
to
I don't know.
pickles.
I can't.
What
Okay.
kind of
Lightning
pasta?
rounds are
We talking
hard.
spaghetti,
I'm
fettuccine,
talking like carbonara.
carbonara.
Like
Okay.
just a good carbonara.
All
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Next. Let's do it. I'm gonna stick to it.
Favorite season.
Summer.
Favorite animal.
Polar bear.
Love it.
I'm just sticking to what little Rachel would have said. Yeah.
Um, Dream festival lineup.
Oh, you know what? There's one that exists, but I can't remember what it's called, so I can't look it up. But this is lightning round. I want to say like Chapel Roan's headlining. Boy Genius is there.
Oof.
They're also all doing their own individual sets, like
Okay.
Phoebe,
Julian,
Lucy,
Lucy. Yep.
Jillian. Muna is there. Maybe Maya Hawke's there. Maybe
This sounds
Carole
like
King
a
is also there.
super gay awesome festival.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, that would be so sick.
Slay.
I don't know. I'm trying to think off the top of Madison Cunningham's there. I just saw her recently. Oh, so good. So good.
Love it.
Except for there's these corporate dads on the balcony who literally talk the whole time, and everybody yelled at them multiple times, and they still didn't shut up. That's aside.
Fuck 'em.
Why are people talking?
If you're watching this, screw you.
If you're watching this, you suck. Stop talking at concerts. What the heck? So yeah. Yeah. What else?
Love it.
Those are kind of like the big ones recently for me.
I love Boy Genius. I think
Beaches. The beaches are
are
there.
great. Yeah.
Disney's there. Valley's there. Simpson's there. Wishwell's there.
Hey yo. Hey yo.
Rachel Hickey's
Rachel's
there.
there too.
Rachel's
Obviously, come on.
Obviously. House Cat.
I was trying to say
House
House Cat.
Cat.
Let's go.
Yeah, there's so many good bands, man.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it. That's a great answer. Great answer. How long would you survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Honestly, not long. I'd like to say, it depends on who I'm with, okay? If it's like me leading, not that long. But if maybe there's like two other people who are like more survival instinct, I feel like I would adapt with them and I would take on the zombie killer role. I think, yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. Love that. Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. All right, so remind me not to pair with you in the zombie apocalypse then.
So you're not the one who has like the survival skills? Okay, that's cool.
Oh
Yeah.
god. My zombie apocalypse like plan is to go to a Costco
Oh,
and
that's a
board
good
at the
idea.
Costco.
Yeah.
Then I'm set for at least probably a year or
You're
two.
set for a while.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything in
and
bulk
then you
there,
can like
so-
figure out what happens.
Yeah.
No, I actually have like a bunker. It's already set up.
Oh damn.
I'm gonna survive.
You're
for a
good to
long
go.
time.
You got water down
Yeah.
there and
Yeah.
non-perishables and all that shit. Oh,
Soylent.
damn. All right.
Yeah, lots of
Maybe I
Soylent,
will come
yeah.
and join you then.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's do two more. Oh, I had two and I forgot the one. Fuck. What was the other one I wanted to ask? Son of a bitch. Okay, here's a deep one.
Deep lightning
What
round.
do you think happens when we die?
Nothingness. No, you know what?
I
wanna
agree.
believe in- Yeah. I generally think it's probably just nothingness.
Yeah,
Just
me
you're
too.
done.
You're done.
I want there to be reincarnation.
Me too.
I've been really interested. I've been really obsessing over this idea. I really like the idea of like future version of me is like watching me right now and being like, haha, you're so silly. Or like, like I love the idea of like me as like a bird watching me,
Mhm.
and being like, oh my God, that's me when I'm a human,
Right.
That sounds like really I don't know. I'm like, I just want there to be millions of me on different timelines. But like, I just like
The multiverse of Rachel.
Yeah. I just like that idea of like, there's more to be developed just in a different life. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's that like, I don't want to die before I've done everything I want to do. And that's why I like the idea of
Yeah.
reincarnation, maybe. But genuinely, there's probably just nothingness. It's just done.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there on that one. As bleak as it sounds, I just feel like,
Yeah.
your energy and then you
comforting.
go out and you're done. That's just nothing.
Yeah. Just do your best.
But I would
And then
like
you're
to
good.
believe in reincarnation, though. It sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to come back as an owl.
An
Yeah.
owl.
What would you come
That would
back
be
as?
pretty cool. A dolphin,
A dolphin.
probably. I feel like that'd be so fun. Or a whale. Like a big
Like a
whale.
blue whale?
Yeah. Like
Like a
one of those
big ass whale.
big ass whale, just like
Rachel Hickey the
from
whale.
Finding Nemo. Just like the whale. You just get to, ooh, you know?
I love that.
Mm,
I love
I
that.
just want to float around, swim
See,
around.
I
Maybe
just want to
get,
fly. Like
yeah.
selfishly, I want to come back as a bird so I can fly.
Mhm. I think whales and birds are in the same vein.
Totally. A whale? Bro, we'd be dead. We'd be
Whoa.
dead.
Whoa. Just the sun would be blocked. You're like, oh, it's just a
Oh,
whale
it's just a
bird.
whale bird. Can you imagine if it shat?
Okay, never mind. I don't
It's like the size of a car.
want a car.
Yeah.
You know how big a whale is?
Do you know how
Wow.
big a whale is?
You know what? I would just want to
Like-
be one of those whales that people go whale watching right there in their little boat, and they're like, "Oh, there's a whale," and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's getting way too close." But I'd just be like, "I'm just fucking with you, ha ha ha," and I'd be like, do a little blow, and then be like, "Ah." I'm a performer. I just always.
That whole time, I didn't realize that hypothetically you were the whale, and I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, she's the whale." Got
I'm
it.
not
Okay.
following. No, I'm the whale. I'm the
Got
whale.
it,
I do
got
really
it,
want
got
to
it,
be a
okay.
whale. Okay, so
Yes.
if everything works out, I'll be a whale one day. So if this podcast lives on for many, 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 many years,
Yes.
and you're listening to
We
this
have
like hundreds of years,
Documentation of it.
and you go whale watching,
That
it could be
it
me.
could be you.
It could be me.
And if you see an owl on top of that whale's head, it
Mhm.
could be me.
That's just doing like a full head rotation.
Just kind of like,
Just googly eyed.
Rachel!
Man,
Rachel!
we would make a great little they'd make a movie about us.
The owl and the whale?
Yep.
The whale and the owl?
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
what if I was like, what the hell is happening with the back half of this podcast? I don't know. I love it.
You should start the podcast with this segment, and people will be like, "Where am I?" No.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna
Oh.
just like leave this here so that if people make it this far,
Yeah.
they can experience whatever the fuck this is.
Yes. Yeah. The
Um,
lightning round was a good idea because we really did lighten it up.
yeah. It was an arc. I like creating a
Mhm.
story arc for the
Mhm.
podcast. You
Mhm.
start
Mhm.
off,
Mhm.
introductory, then you get into like the fucking, like, and then you get to the climax, and it ends nicely. Because mental health is a journey, everybody.
That's a journey,
Mental health is a journey.
and everyone will be a whale
With
one
my little
day.
wooden pipe and my monocle. Mental health
There
is
you
a journey, everybody.
Yep.
Yes, kind of, yeah. What if I was like a super like mutant strength owl and I could lift a blue whale?
Can we make that happen?
Then you could be a whale and I could be like a super mutant owl and I can lift you up and make you fly around.
Oh my gosh! And then we could shit on people.
Yes, except for your shit would do a lot more damage than my shit.
Yeah.
I could like whisper in your
As
ear.
soon as I said that, your camera froze,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, maybe not."
Maybe not, maybe
You're
not.
like deadpan. You're like, "No, Rachel, that's not what we're gonna do." Anyway, yeah. I think we have some really good plans for our reincarnated life.
Awesome.
So, I'm not
Oh.
afraid of death anymore.
No, this made it great.
Good.
This is awesome. Okay, last lightning round question, and then we'll wrap this up. When was the last time you called someone and told them you love them?
Aw, like genuinely called them up and said, "I love you." Man, you know what? It might be. No, I did. Last week, I called my sister-in-law, Amber, and I said, "Hi, I miss you, and I just wanted to say that I love you."
There you
That's
go.
Correct. Yep. I was like, man, it's been forever. I mean, I do this to like my partner a lot. I'm like, hi, but like that's a given.
Sure. Yeah.
So, sister-in-law, I called her last week.
There you go.
Yes.
I'm happy to hear that because a lot of people sometimes don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm sappy though. I'm a really sappy gal.
yeah,
So.
I can relate to that. I'm a pretty sappy dude, I think. I like to think that I
Yeah.
am, at least.
Yeah, no, you definitely are. I can.
Okay, well,
I will say
if you're
that.
saying it, then I'll take it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's super important, especially, like on the topic of mental health, like making that connection established, and like it's such a little thing to do. Like just pick up the phone and call somebody you haven't talked to in a while and just tell them you love them.
Yeah.
Like it's such
Yeah.
a underrated thing to do that people just don't think about doing. Because everyone's living their own lives and they're busy and stuff, but like I think it makes a big difference, honestly.
And it feels good to give love too, as much as it does to receive it. So.
I like weirdly, I would argue that it feels for me better to give love than receive love. But that's a whole other thing.
Woo! That's fun. You should write a song about that one.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's a song we can work on together.
Yo, we did it. We already made it past like the first half of like the songwriting session where you just like talk about life and stuff. So now we can just jump right into writing a song.
That's secretly what this whole thing was about, anyways.
Oh my God. You got me.
Yeah, I told you it was about like this mental health thing I was doing. It was really just to get to know you better, so you guys.
Like put the label up on the recording, like you did the whole thing. Like, wow, that was elaborate.
Dude,
I'm impressed.
Ashton Kutcher pops into my closet with the camera. You just got punked. Damn.
Yeah.
All right, Rachel. Let's wrap this up before we get any more chaotic.
Yeah.
This is two like neurodivergent people just off the rails going at it.
Off the rails.
I love it.
Yep. It's good.
Well, hey, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for opening up about your mental health story. We really appreciate it here. And anyone listening or watching, like, if you relate to anything that Rachel was saying, feel free to reach out. Rachel, do you want to give like a shout out to like anywhere that people can follow you and stuff?
Yeah. You can follow me at Rachel J. Hickey on Instagram. And that's probably the best place to get in touch with me because it's the one I keep up the most. So cool. Instagram. If you want to email me, you can probably find that on my website.
There you go.
Feel free. Write me a novel.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You heard it here, guys. Reach out to Rach if you have any, if you want to share something that was kind of maybe said today or you're going through something, like, I can vouch for Rachel. She's a wonderful human being and she'll listen to your stories.
Cool.
And if you want to reach out to us, it's on Instagram at A Mental Break Podcast. You can find me at, I almost said Taylor Swift Music. That's not my handle anymore. It's at Wishwell Band because that's my band now. But yeah, that's not about my band. It's about the podcast. At A Mental Break Podcast. Make sure to follow and like on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. Feel free to rate it. It helps out the algorithm, blah, blah, blah. Share it to your friend. I don't know. Do the things.
Do it.
I appreciate it. Let's help.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah.
Smash
that like button.
Yep. Do it up.
We're also on YouTube as well for video version. So check out the YouTube channel.
You can see me like squirm around this entire talk.
Yeah.
Just, like, fidgeting.
And there was a cool section where they grabbed an extension cord. So you don't want to miss that. That's content.
That was the time. That's some good content.
That's content right there. That's good. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Is there any final thought you want to leave the audience with?
Nope.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Nope.
That's all.
I'm good.
Too much pressure.
I'm good.
Too much of a perfectionist. It's hard with perfect license. So, like, I love you all very much. Thanks for listening if you made it this far. And
there you go.
Maybe I'll meet you sometime soon.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for
watching. Maybe I'll see you as a whale one day.
Hey, there you go. Hopefully before that, but
hopefully before that.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Until next time, stay safe out there. Drink a glass of water. Tell somebody you love them. And I've been Taylor. That's been Rachel. Thanks for watching A Mental Break. Spread that mental health love, baby.
That mental health love, baby. Now go take a break. Because you deserve it after listening to this.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.